Hello, this is Sheryl and Claire. Welcome to NeuroTRYvergent, an experiment in living and working without the mask. It's a podcast where we discuss navigating career change and just existing in a world as a neurodivergent human. Each week, we pick a topic and talk about the initial thoughts, the pros, the cons, and the balance of each concept. Then, try a 2 week experiment and discuss how it went the following episode. I'm Cheryl, I'm an ADHD adult moving from being a professional nanny to a positive discipline trainer and parent educator slash consultant. And this is Claire. She's a late diagnosed ADHD adult and founder of Wizard's Way Career Path Mapping. Her business is a combination of career coaching for neurodivergent folks, plus e-courses and workbooks. If you'd like to learn more about us, our links are in the description. Hi, Claire.
Hi, so good to see you.
Good to see you.
I'm realizing I need to update my little bio a little bit.
Oh
So, because
yeah.
it's really expanded from just career to like college and life too, but that's just a side note.
Yeah.
But that's kind of a good segue though into we're back. We've been gone for a bit. And it's just been like I'm sure it was for a lot of you, like just so many things were happening both we've talked a lot in the past about like internal, external, right? And
Yeah.
I think things have been happening in both places for both of us,
Yes.
right? And so good news is that we were kind to ourselves and we were like, okay, we're just not going to do this. And I think I definitely had confidence and I think you did as well that we would pick it back up.
Yeah.
Yeah. The cool thing is too, about the experiment last time, it was kind of a great experiment to have an extended length on because it was all around creativity.
Yeah.
And we had that fabulous episode with Steph, and
She's lovely.
so fun, so fun. I used to see her more frequently, and now I need to make up some reasons to see her again. Um, Yeah, and I don't remember the exact language, but what I have in my notes were, kind of the usual like notice and then potentially expanding creative
Yes.
practice. Does that feel
Mhm.
right for you? Yeah, so what has this time been like for you in a creative lens, under a creative lens?
Yeah, totally. So, my creative experience has been really interesting because it's been very busy. Um, whether that be mentally busy or otherwise, so like work busy or whatever. It's just been very busy and finding time for that creative piece, I think we talked about, is very difficult to do sometimes. But I feel like things have kind of shifted down a little bit um and I've been able to reincorporate journaling at night, and that's been really helpful. And so I usually do a drawing or something like that at night, just to help me process like the feelings and stuff I'm having, because that usually helps me a lot. Just to like, a lot of times I'll do like a little blurb or something for me to remember, you know, and then I'll like one of it is one of the blurbs was take care of yourself as if she was her, and then I drew a person like holding a child, like it was kind of me holding my child self, and just being like, just the reparenting idea and stuff. And so that's like just one way like I've been processing that, is just like getting those other parts of my brain into the process of, not just intellectualizing it, right? Like I can understand most of the time, I know exactly what I have to do, but like if I don't get my emotional self on board, it's not going to happen, because that's where our like motivation and things like that come from. Um, so yeah, it's been a really, really helpful to process the emotional piece and use it as a reminder and a self-reflection piece and all of that stuff. And I also had done a poem recently, just kind of going over a bunch of stuff that I couldn't put my finger on about what it was, but like it was very helpful to kind of process through the poetry, which I feel like uses like all of my mind. It's like the puzzle pieces, the like how do I do this with a limited amount of words and not saying it like directly, and it's like it just helps my whole brain kind of cohesively process something. Um, so yeah, that's it for me and my creative aspect of it. Just noticing how that's been able to, I don't know, show up for me and support me in a way that's been really nice recently.
Yeah. Yeah. I love how you talk about like how the different um how writing, drawing, and then writing poetry,
Yeah,
because I agree that they kind of all challenge you in a different way or bring new things to light, right? In a different way. That's really cool.
yeah,
I super believe in that too.
yeah.
Um, so I've spent the time really thinking about how to how to preserve, how to guard, how to get time for creative pursuits. And I mean, and it's kind of emerged in two ways. So the one that I knew I was looking for was blocks of time, time when I could be off, and I didn't have responsibility to anybody else, and I could just do my own thing. The other one that kind of emerged was where are there opportunities where I actually have little bits of time to do creative things on a different level, right? And maybe in a different way. And then how does that actually solve a couple of problems for me? So let me see if I can give some examples. So and I have a cold. I've made it this far without a cold, and now I have a cold. So let's hope I can get through this without coughing. Um, so the thing I've done for scheduling, so I have challenges with time, as I've talked about a lot. We did a whole episode on it. Um, and so finally, and then I have a lot of medical procedures that I go through every month. I have infusions, and so I've managed to get my infusions most months scheduled for the second week of the month, and then every 5 months I got two extras. But anyway, and so that week I don't work. So because I'm losing so much time to that, and it's such a bummer. It's a bummer. I mean, it's cool. I'm glad I'm really grateful that I'm getting the medicines I need, but it's just not the funnest thing to sit there with an IV in your hand for 6 hours. Um, and so I've stopped working that week and shifted all my work in different directions. And so instead, then what I do is I do creative projects
Mhm.
during that week. And so, yeah, it's 1 week a month, but it's still 1 week a month.
Yeah.
And so I'm wondering, I don't know if it's actually going to go up to the camera. So I just started a whole project on communication, and this one lights up, but I don't think it's going to show. I don't think it's going to show the light up. So the little dots go light, light, light in different colors. And so I'm
Oh,
doing a whole series of these small blocks. This is all recycled wood. And so I'm doing this whole series on like the challenges of communication and talking to other people. So I've started making these little blocks, and they all have LEDs in them um, that do different things to kind of try and emphasize the point. And it's just fun, to be honest. So yeah, and then I'm really into this Derpy Crow. My friend Heather taught me how to do block printing and like carve out and then make. So I have a ton of Derpy Crows that I use in these. So that's kind of what I've been doing in that once a month time is working on that series. And then the other thing is like noticing when I'm gonna reference this later, so I'm gonna do it real briefly, but I noticing when I'm air quotes bored um, around others and um, what can I do instead? Can I do a little art right then? Or can I build a little Lego and sit with other people? Or can I do something like that? And so it's like it's kind of filling a need for feeling uncomfortable in a situation and it's creative. So
yeah.
yeah.
I love that.
So,
Creativity, I love that you're just bringing it up, like how creativity can fulfill so many niches in our life. Because it's like, it's so important to our health and well-being, but it's also like so important as a tool in our world to help us focus when other people are, when it's hard to focus,
hmm
to help us like process, to help us be present, like just to help us exist. So, yeah,
yeah,
I like that a lot.
Cheryl's giggling because she just kind of gave a little clue into the topic for today.
Yes.
Um, so our show today is a discussion about and how to ADHD, and we'll put all the links below so you can watch the video yourself and hopefully more of her fabulous material on
Mhm.
YouTube. Um, and this specific one is called "Your ADHD Brain Needs This to Stay Present."
Yeah.
And the reason that I wanted to do this topic, and then I'll pass off to Cheryl to start talking about it, is, I mean, many, many reasons. But I've really been experiencing a lot with my son, who's 6. He really struggles with being in the present moment. He is a future tripper, and he just, I think it's part of why how he handles his discomfort is trying to plan out or to say what's going to happen in the future, or can we do this in the future? Can this happen? Da 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 da.
Yeah.
And so we've really been mindful about being in the present as much as possible for him because it doesn't decrease his anxiety, it increases his anxiety is what we've observed, and mine too.
Yeah.
So and then I'm also really interested in learning more about my ADHD side this year. I've been real focused on my autistic side for a while.
Yeah.
Um, so that's kind of why I really wanted to do this topic and proposed it to Cheryl.
Yeah. I'm just pulling up she has like a little
Blurb.
section that's like
While
really
you're do
effective for
Nice,
like breaking down all the tools and stuff like that. And it's just going to help me.
cool.
Uh,
While you're doing that, I'll put some links also in the description. The I know I will probably and she as well references the default mode network, and then I'll talk about the task positive network as well. So we'll put some
yes.
links down there as well, if you want to know more about either of those brain networks.
Yes. Perfect. Awesome.
All right. So yeah,
I'm
you
ready.
you get to go first. Pros, cons of this video.
Um, Pros and cons. So the pros of these, specifically what she talks about in here, are like the different kind of strategies, the different present stealers, so the things that run away with our present minds, um, are they're so helpful to just hear again sometimes. Like some of them are really obvious. Like it's like we're on our screens and it's like, well, yeah, of course. Like, duh. Like, and then you're like, oh yeah, actually, duh. Like, like, wait a minute, hold on a second. Let me put this away really quickly. And then um she says we're time traveling and we're bored, right? And then she gives us strategies like make screens less interesting, use grounding exercises, for example, and make passive activities interactive. Um, and like the great thing about that is just the idea of thinking about it helps us be more present. Like if we can even think about it in the moment, we've done it. Congratulations, you've become president. you know um the hard thing is that it can get us into planning and then not executing, which is a form of staying out of the present. um like oh, I know what I'll do. I'll make a whole box about where I put my phone and da 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 da. And like, it's like, all right, all right, all right. So maybe we can just simplify this and like, how can we like be present? How can we be a little bit smarter about our planning, right? Like, let's work smarter, not harder. So, um, how am I going to I can learn a billion and one different grounding techniques, but if I don't use them in the moment, then they're doing the opposite of this, right? So, I think just the pros for this one is like it's really helpful and really useful to see all of these things really like laid out. And this channel is really good at that. It's really, really good at like just being like, here's an issue, here's a thing, here's an idea or whatever, and here are some like actual useful practical things that you can do. Um, and it's just gonna take time to figure out and experimenting to figure out how this what can actually be useful. And the only thing for me that I have to be careful of is that I'm sitting here planning things constantly. And because I can live up in my head a lot and like be like, all right, here we go. Let's plan. Let's do this. Oh, that's a great idea. Let's da 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 da. And then like, but the execution part is really boring for me. And so like the planning part is fun. The execution part can be a little bit like, I'm bored with that now. It's not interesting because I'm not trying to figure out a problem or solve a puzzle anymore. Um, so how do you make solving the puzzle, the active part of it actually interesting? So I think those are my pros and cons.
Nice. Nice. All right. I wrote down lots of good notes, so I'd remember to
Yeah.
chat with him in just a second. So the first thing I want to say is that I love wordplay and puns, and so that made me so happy. There's a lot of stupid, I'm sorry, but silly wordplay and puns in this, and it was just like it just brought me a lot of joy. Um, I also like how she had like an initial grounding or context before even introducing it. And that was really just like, hey, I'm not implying this is easy, kind of going off what you said. And and I'm hoping like by the end of this video, you'll agree with me that it is really worth it to to strive to be more in the present, right? But it's not this all or nothing thinking that you need to only do this. So I thought that was a really good setup. And then, as Cheryl was saying, she kind of moved into the practical, right? And shared three things that pull us, right, from the present. So on the first one on the screens, um, the way she talked about this was really good for me because she used this kind of yes and um, thinking in doing it. So, and in fact, she was like, she said screens, and she's like, no, wait, come back. Like she got that, like, we're sick, many of us are really sick of hearing that technology is evil and it's the problem. And especially for a lot of ADHD brains that really need some level of screen to regulate. So she just kind of acknowledged that, like, hey, this is a good and a not good, a good and a challenging thing at once. And I just really appreciated how she talked about that. Because usually, in more mainstream culture, the way they talk about screens just really gets my hackles up because it's very neurotypical and it very much doesn't understand how some folks interact with it. So that was my primary thought on that number one. On two, time traveling. And I already mentioned this with my son, so it's very much on my mind. But some things that stood out here were she referenced like a therapist question that's like, "What's happening today?" And I was like, "Oh, I really love that." Like wherever's going on today. Oh, but what's happening right now? I think I could even change that to be, you know? So I felt that was really useful. She very cheekily says, alternate timelines, it's a thing. And I was like, oh my God, I feel so seen. You know, like like the number of worlds that exist in my head are immense, you know, and so it's just really fun when somebody shares that and gets like how maybe complex some of our brains can get and how creative, right? And imaginative. Um, then let's see. And then the other last two things about this one were she referenced goals and like, hey, what do you want out of life? And whether you like the word goals or maybe there's a better word because that rubs a lot of people the wrong way. But I just really love that aspirational and that dream nature that like the act of having a goal or the act of having a dream can really serve to pull a lot of us, not all of us, forward and make us really feel more fulfilled and more comfortable. So I love that was referenced there too. And then she talked about grounding exercises and gave hers. And it really made me think about spending a little bit of time really like acknowledging what are my grounding exercises and like where's the overlap with stimming? Because there's some things that are the same and there's just some things that are different for me. So, all right. And then the last one is my timer's going off, but I'm gonna say it anyway. The last one was getting bored. And I most of my life have been pretty convinced I don't get bored because I definitely had that mother who was like, if I ever said I was bored, she'd give me shit to do. that I didn't want to do. Or she'd be like, great, this is a great opportunity for you to figure something out, you know? And so I think that like the part of the reason that I'm so creative is I didn't have somebody else solving my boredom most of my life. And so I've always thought like, no, I'm not bored. In fact, I'm the opposite. I have too many things I want to do. And I've started to realize that there are times when I am in a wanted, this might come out wrong, like I want this situation, I chose my life. A lot of times it's a family situation, but I'm needing to do something that is part of the group rather than what I want to do. And I'm bored because everybody else wants to do something different than me because I'm the weirdo, you know. I'm the extra weirdo. We're all weird. And so I do get bored sometimes. And so I'm like I referenced before, I've been like okay, I can still sit and hang out with y'all while you're talking about this thing I don't want to talk about. But maybe I'm gonna build my little like last night, I built a little Max from Stranger Things, little brickhead, and I just sat and I could be part of the group, but I could be present because I had this other thing to do. So, um, I think that might have all been pros. I don't know that I came up with any cons. Oh, the one con that I wanted to say, and then I'm gonna wrap it up, is that some of the some of her suggestions didn't land with me. I
Yeah.
was like, that's too, it felt kind of, some of them felt a little bit mainstream to me.
Yeah.
Um, so that would be my con.
Yeah. Makes sense. Awesome. Discussions. I love that. The I did really like also I wanted to say I did really like that she's always like I know. You know, I hear you. I know we a lot of people use it for other things that are really good and da, 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 da. And like there's always a qualification in there, which is
Hmm.
very nice.
Hmm.
And I guess I think my pros and cons were kind of about focusing on being present more than her
Yeah,
video itself.
that makes sense.
Um, and like, yeah, I just really liked how you had brought that up and like the things that work for you and just being like that parallel play kind of situation
Hmm.
when you're not totally interested in what the other person is doing, but you want to spend time with them and like how do you balance that with like
Yeah.
well, I'm not always going to get what I want in
Hmm.
this situation. That's what being part of a group is a lot of the
Yep.
times, so you can't always get what you want, but if you want to spend time with people and want to I liked what you said, just the attempt
Yeah. Yeah.
is really a lot of the times
Signals,
the
right?
most
That you're
important thing.
interested. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Totally.
like, hey, I'm not really totally interested in this, but I'm here for it. Like, I'm here to like
Yeah. It
sit
shows
with
somebody that you
you
care.
while you do it. And like
Hmm.
the spending of time, and that could be really valuable and really powerful to a relationship to be like, hey, I know this isn't your favorite, but I just want to spend the time with you, and that's what matters. And it's like,
Yeah.
aw.
Yeah.
And a
Thanks for
lot of
calling
times
that
people
out.
will just be
Yeah.
like, nah, you don't have to. Go do what you want. But that was very sweet. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
I know. I
They're
always think
like,
of like classic like Scott Pilgrim or other video games where like you get coins. Like, oh,
yeah.
I did a good thing. Coins fall from the sky. Like, I wanted to
Woo!
do two things that stood out for me from your share that I thought were super interesting. One is your whole discussion about planning and then like not doing the thing. Um,
Mhm.
I thought that was so interesting because that is like very classic executive function challenges. Right? Like there's all the steps of executive function. There's the planning. Some people can't do that. You said I can do that part, right? There's the getting started, there's the keeping it going, and there's the finishing, right? And when we say executive function, we think about just like it's a thing, but there's actually like these stages, and like most of us are good at some of it and not the others,
Yeah.
right? So I apprecited how you were like, hey, I'm really good at the initial part, but then this middle part, so
Yes,
just wanted to
exactly.
call that out. And then the other thing, just to like just to reinforce and say nod to you is when I was doing my ADCA training, they would frequently say, because the majority of the people training to be ADHD coaches are ADHD themselves.
Yeah.
Yay. Um, and they would say when there was an assignment, they were like, you actually need to do this. Like you actually need to do this. You can't just think about it. And
Yeah.
and they talked about like how the ADHD brain especially will think that, oh wait, I thought about it in great depth. I did it. Check. And how that like that's not always differentiated.
Yes.
And I think it's largely because the thought or the planning is so complex and deep,
Yeah.
that it registers as actually doing the thing
Yeah.
in your brain.
I
So
get the dopamine for it.
yeah. So is
So
this
so my brain's like, done. Dopamine achieved. What are we
yeah. Well, and,
what
and
are
just honestly, like I the bet, like there's the whole thing about the brain doesn't always know if you actually did a thing or if you just think about doing the thing. It does show up the same. So is this a good transition into balance
Yeah.
for you? So
Yes.
yeah, what do you
Yes.
what do you think you're balancing here, or what does that look like for you?
Um, for me, I think a lot of being present is is the movement into action. Um, because I'm a person, my ADHD shows up, people would be like, you don't have ADHD. Like you're still a lot of the time, and it's like just because I'm physically still does not mean I'm mentally still. Um, I have either learned or it just is part of my biology that like my fight, flight, freeze is high, can be high on freeze sometimes. Um, and it's only due to like some really strong values that are in place that I can overcome that freeze and move into action. So like justice kind of things get me like moving and going, and it's like and it like undoes it for me where I'm like nobody else is gonna no one, you can't expect anyone else to do this, you have to do it, right? Like it's time to do. um but the the thing that it really like the strategies especially kind of all move me into the action, right? Like using the screens is important, like for me, for some level. But when it's overused, it's an avoidance technique to the action part of it, right? Or using the grounding exercises helps me get out of here and into like here and notice what's going on, right? And like unfreezing my muscles, unfreezing, like sometimes I have to like physically move to not like tense my body. And then the making passive activities interactive and active is again just exactly saying that same thing where it's like how do we activate, how do we activate, how do we move, how do we keep going. um so like the board thing, a lot of the times my go-to is to just like bloop pop right up into my head and live up there for a while where I can manipulate and move and do all of these things that I can't do in real life. And it helps me like sit still and be in a game or be in a place where I am bored, but that's fine because I'm boopity boop boop booping up here. You know what I mean? Like and it's like, okay, but what if I move some of my grounding techniques into my body? Like, what if I moved some of my making things active into my body? Like, and I do that. I've worked on that a lot. Like, I've got my little Geek Girl Con dice. I don't know if you can see it, but I got it from the most recent Geek Girl Con here in Seattle, um, and so I've just been playing with that. And it's like a lot of the times the rest of my body is totally still and my fingers are just like dee, 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 going around and it's like, but that's where I have to start, um, to kind of just like, because I've locked down my body a lot. Um, and just, I don't know if it's from like a learned thing where it's like, oh, they don't like it when I move around a lot, so let's just lock that shit down. Lock that down. And so it's like, yeah, I don't know. I think a lot of this is I could work a lot of my movement in this, and a lot of where I'd like to start my experimentation in this is around the physical stuff. And it can help me kind of create this balance of activation and planning, right? Like, oh, let's come up with ideas. And then the helping to move my body around it will help me with like getting the thing done. Um, so yeah, that's it for me.
Nice. So two things came up for me about balancing. And the first one is being in the present, but actually allowing myself to dream about what could be, because I feel very strongly about the power of that, as I kind of alluded to before, or not, maybe not alluded to, maybe specifically said, but actually imagining what could be, because I'm very different from you in this way, because I am big into action, can be really empowering for me. So I think that's the balance there. I don't at this stage in my life, this is like such a moment of gratitude. I don't have the past ruminations as much. I mean, it still happens, um, but I feel like that one I can most of the time keep more balanced. If I'm sick or if I'm not feeling well or if I'm my body is bad, that's when I tend to go to the past and start remembering all the horrible things that happened to me, which is like, but I've noticed that pattern, right? Oh, your health is low, and so your thinking is going in a direction that's not good for you. And so it's been easier to shut that down. And then the other thing I wanted to share is I'm currently working with a coach named Stephanie Manelli, and she is helping me with my email because I was starting to have email dread and all this stuff. And um, that there, I could give context to that another time. But and so my current experiment that I'm doing around that, and this is largely about being present, is I've realized that checking email on my phone tends to be not kind of toxic, like the way I'm doing it versus my computer, it tends to be pretty good. And so right now, all I'm doing is every time I check my email on my phone, I'm examining my motivations and just tallying up what was that about. Um, and it's so interesting. I mean, there's categories like sometimes I'm actually seeking information, very rarely. Most of the time it's muscle memory. I'm just doing it. And all of a sudden I'm in my flipping email and I'm like, how did I even get here? Um, so that's something that I'm doing that I just realized kind of goes really alongside this conversation of being present. So let me say a couple things and then I'll pass off to you. I really was all in like listening to you talking about, first of all, like your self-awareness about like um action, right? And then talking about like freeze response and how that shows up for you and how it might look different to outsiders, who think that maybe you're more sedentary than you really are because your mind is going so much, right? And I'm very opposite. Like sitting here doing this, even like I'm just like like I can like barely sit still. Like most of the time, I can barely sit still.
Yeah.
It is. I really wish I could play more video games because so many people I love are really into it, but I can't freaking sit still. And so I just like that difference in us is kind of cool. And I'm a fight or fawn, which is interesting.
Yeah.
Like I'm either going to go to war or I'm going to try
Yeah.
and schmooze you.
Yeah.
So that really stood up. And then I love, and then your kind of comments on physical awareness and body connection made me think of, along with some other stuff we've talked about, or giving me ideas for our experiment.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. And I really love the making space for dreaming because and I think it just helps. It's an idea that really helps me because again, it's like I'm always dreaming. I'm always up in my head a lot of the times. And like sometimes those are nightmares. Sometimes they're nightmares. Sometimes it's dreaming. And it's like, my fight reaction is also it's like fight or freeze. It's like I just sit there and do nothing and then I'm like, let's go.
Yeah,
What I
let's
mean?
go. Yep.
It's like, all right, I can't like it's like, okay, I can't do anything. I can't do anything. It's almost like a snake is what I think of, and I really react like I really
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, internalize that snake motion of like hanging out there and then being like, all right, you're too close. Get
Yeah.
away.
Strike.
It's like, no, I'm watching you. I see what you're doing, and here we go. But yeah, it's a very interesting um thing where it like all of a sudden I can do the action once I hit a specific thing, but it makes my brain kind of nervous about what I'm doing. But I really like that, like, there's definitely something that sometimes I would look at people like you and be jealous because I'm like, look at her just do things. Like, I'm just like, wow, it's amazing. Look, and she can just do a thing. Imagine. And it's like,
That's why my husband's with me. He said the same thing.
yeah,
Yeah. He's like, you actually do things.
yeah,
Like, I want to do
exactly.
that. Like,
And
okay.
it's hard for me because I get like stuck in this like freeze kind of mode, and and so, but there's also other options there too, right?
Hmm.
Like
Hmm.
it's not all good, not all bad, not all whatever. Like I love like strategy games and stuff like that for that reason, because it's a
Yeah.
lot that kind of process where it's like up in your head, up in your head, up in your head. Okay, I'm gonna do this, and this, and this. You know what I mean? And then it's like back up in your head, back up in your head, and then this, 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 this. Right? So it there are skills there that I wouldn't want to give up
Hmm. Hmm.
in
Yeah,
that way.
yeah,
And I'm really grateful for a lot of the ways that I figured out how to work things. Um, but yeah, so I think I really like what you're saying about leaving space for dreaming, leaving space for these things so that my brain's not like, don't take it away. It's mine. You know what I mean? And it's like, well, I'm not taking it away. It's okay. I'm like, just, we're just trying some other things as well. We're adding. It's an additive process.
yeah.
Yes, anding,
Yep,
you know.
yep. Just like she did.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Well, how do you think, here, help me with this, but this is what I'm thinking is, I would love this week's challenge to be about personalizing, being present. So taking her three things that um, steal from steal presence, I think is how she said it. So screens, time traveling, and being bored, and interpreting and finding what does that mean for you,
Yeah.
right? So kind of making, so that might be like looking at grounding exercises. It might not be, it might be something different, but how does this show up for each of us?
Yeah.
I think it'd be really cool to see some differences there.
Yeah. I think
Does
that's
that feel
great.
good for you?
It feels great for me.
All right. So, I just wanted to share before I give our contact info. I didn't do it on camera, but I did light Picard again today because he is, oh, the light is so bad. Sorry. It's not going to do it. He's the engaging. And I was like, I hope you found us engaging today. Yeah, when we've been gone for a while, so we've missed doing this. Um, so that
And
was
it's
my
also very
intention.
good for my one because it's like engage. It's good.
Yes.
Go. Do it.
Yes.
Engage.
Yes. Oh my God. I
That's what
love
I'm
it.
gonna think of now all week.
Engage. Yeah, you can hear
When
that.
it's like
Yeah.
I'm
Maybe we
done
need to
like thinking and planning in my head, I can be like, all right, engage.
we need to get you a little sound bite you can play.
Yes.
Um, all right. So Cheryl, if they want to learn more about you and the work you do, where should they go?
CherylTheNanny.com. That's where you'll find me.
Nice. Nice. And I'm at wizards-way.mykajabi, kajabi.com. And then I'm elsewhere on LinkedIn and Substack as at Wizard Claire. And I'll actually put in my Linktree link today because it kind of gets you in all the different places. So, all
Awesome.
right. Well, until next time,
Until
thanks
next
for
time.
joining us.
Yeah. Good to see you all again.
Bye-bye.
Bye.